I'd like to say thank you to Stephanie and Clarence for setting the tone for the day. And actually, there might be a lot of similar themes that I'm going to talk about as well. And please excuse my nervousness because I am very shy. I'm only coming here to share my story because I think it might help people to hear my journey that I've been on. I actually thought I was going to be the oldest speaker today. As it turns out, I'm the youngest. I turned 50 last year. This month I'm going to turn 51. I actually joined AARP, which I
know what Lloyd is.
benefits. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about my educational journey, which is kind of not like point A to point B like this. It's been kind of like this, go back and start again. So from elementary through high school, I sailed by really quickly. Everything was really good. I was like the smart girl, and I graduated 1 year early. And so I thought like I had a bonus year, right? So I was supposed to go to Whittier College after high school. I went to Sacred Hearts Academy. And my mom and I went the summer before school was supposed to start, and I totally freaked out. And I told her, I'm not going to this school. I don't want to leave home. So I ended up going to University of Hawaii. And what happened there was I had my 13 years in the Catholic school education. So what happened when I went to college was I kind of went a little buckaloose, like I went crazy. I mean, honestly, it was... Again, I thought I had a bonus year or everything, and I thought, oh, the classes are so easy. Oh, this is so... And then I even got to the point where I thought, hey, I don't even have to show up and I can like pass. And no, don't ever do that. You're not gonna pass. So I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an advisor. And what happened was I kind of drifted aimlessly. You know, the classes that I did attend, I was getting A's. The classes I wasn't going to, I actually was getting F's because I didn't know how to withdraw from classes. So what happened was I ended up with a 1.7 GPA, and I got asked to leave UH. So I went to KCC for a couple semesters. And then what happened actually all throughout that time was when I was going buckaloo. I was dating kind of a very well-known football player, and I was just like partying and everything. And I developed a very bad alcohol and drug problem. So that contributed to all of that. My academic, I don't want to use the word failures, but it was kind of like a failure. I never ever got anything less than an A in my life. And then I started getting all these F's and D's and stuff. So it was just very discouraging to me, and I just felt like giving up, you know, and I kind of did. But the final straw was when I got pregnant with my oldest child, and actually it was a good thing because I got pregnant and I didn't want my baby to get pickled or, you know, anything like that. I've been sober for 28 years, so that really set me on another path, you know. So what happened was I became a stay-at-home mom, and you know, as I had my oldest girl, then I had my second daughter, and by that time I already knew the marriage I was in was not going to be a good one. I mean, I already knew, I had all the clues, and I'm like, oh, maybe I better go back and at least finish and get my bachelor's degree if I'm going to be raising these kids on my own. Before that, my only career I had was I had a babysitting career. When I was 11 with my sister, we had a business, and we actually made good money, but it was cash, right? And then when I was 16, I worked at Diners Drive-In for a couple of years, and that was like, I mean, really good, but I knew I couldn't raise a family on that kind of money, you know? So I decided to go back for my bachelor's in social work. So I went back to school. I was lucky enough that I had my mom help me. So at that time, I only had 2 kids at the time. So I had my big girl who was, I think, 3, and then my second girl was 1.5. And she's actually a Liko A'e scholar too. Right now she's in Oregon, getting her master's in sustainable architecture. So anyway, I think part of it is because I took the kids with me to class sometimes when I didn't have, my mom couldn't watch the kids. So I think I kind of primed the pump for them educationally. Okay, so I graduated with my BSW in 92, and I had to take a little break for 1 semester because I got pregnant and I had my youngest, my son. So instead of graduating in May, I graduated in December. Then I got a job at CPS, thinking this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a social worker because I wanted to help children. So I was very disillusioned when I went there, and I was very disillusioned because I felt like I wasn't helping the kids, you know. So what ended up happening was they kept giving me all the cases. They said was, oh, this is the family from hell, this is blah, blah, blah. And then I slowly but surely noticed that all these families were Hawaiian families. And I'm like, what are you guys, this is not a family from hell, this family is just in need. You know, and I actually was quite insulted by how they labeled our families. And then just kind of like wrote them off. So it kind of set the fire into me, but at the time it was really difficult for me to work. So I had been job sharing with a lady who had triplets, you know. That was working good because I still had a baby and my other kids were still little. But then when that stress of that job got so heavy for me that I said, this is not for me, because I was sleeping at night and I was seeing all the little kids on my caseload. I couldn't sleep. I was actually, it felt very heavy for me, that kind of work at that time. So I decided to take a break from work. I stayed home and opened a babysitting business, and I got to raise my son at the same time. I did that for 1 year because that was a very, very hard job. I don't know if you've ever stayed home with them. I was licensed for 5 kids and I had my 3 on my own, so it was a very, very, very tough job. Although I took care of those kids like they were my own. It was like another home for these children. In fact, those families are still friends with us. You know, they consider us ohana. But after that year, I'm like, I'm going to go back to school. So I went back for my MSW at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, and I graduated in 1995. And what happened was, 1 month before I graduated, I saw an ad in the paper for Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center, and I was like, this is my dream job, right? Because I always wanted to work with children, and I wanted to work with Hawaiians, and this was both together, right? So I went and I basically begged, like, please, this is my dream job. I would work there even if you didn't pay me. And they looked at me like, what's wrong with this girl? But I got the job, and I've been there since '95, and I just love it. I mean, I just really love working there. And I know clients work there too, you know. Anyway, so I do love that job. But then, you know, I was raising my kids, and it's funny, like I hear common themes from Stephanie and Clarence about our kids. And for me, when people would ask, oh, what do you want for your children when they grow up? And I started off saying, oh, happy and healthy. Then, as they started getting older, happy, healthy, productive citizens. Then, when my middle daughter, the Liko A'e scholar, had a naughty phase, in her teenage years, I added on. Happy, healthy, productive citizens doing nothing illegal or immoral. So that's actually a good outcome or goal for everybody. Like, honestly, myself, everyone in this room, my kids, and the beneficiaries that I work with and their parents. Because I actually think that's an awesome goal if you think about it. And when I had that in my mind, just like Stephanie, I wasn't thinking, oh, my kids all have to go to college, they all have to do this and that. I never pushed them or anything. They were all fortunate enough to go to Kamehameha schools. All 3 of them ended up going East Coast to school. So my big girl and my littlest went to Williams College in Massachusetts. So my big girl is now a teacher in Colorado at KIP Academy. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a very famous charter school. My youngest just graduated with the degree in physics, and he's teaching English in the JET program in Japan. And my middle girl, Allie, she went to Hampshire College, which is kind of a very experimental college. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. Try to Google it, because their symbol is a leaf that looks like a marijuana leaf, but it's like the tree of knowledge. That school was too experimental for her. So she ended up going to Brooklyn to graduate from St. Joseph's College. And now she's in Oregon, like I said, getting her master's in sustainable architecture. She's a Liko A'e scholar. So let me just kind of go back into some of the messages I like to share. You know, both Stephanie and Clarence talked about who do they come from, and I come from a very large family. So if you know any Lloyds that are Hawaiian, you're probably related. You know, like Clarence, my grandfather came from Wales, Great Britain, and he married this is great grandma, married my Portuguese grandmother. And then their child married a Hawaiian Chinese lady. That was my dad's mom, my dad. And then my mom has Portuguese mom and Native American dad and Jewish. She's half. So I'm mixed, and I married someone who is Hawaiian, Chinese, and Filipino. So my kids are further mixed, yeah. But the common thread is the Hawaiian ancestry. And so I would always ask, am I representing my ohana well in whatever it is that I'm doing? And then do my children represent our ohana well as well? I always ask that question. And then, how do I define success? For me, success is being pono, living life with a generous spirit. I heard a quote one time, Dr. Monumeyer, and she said, aloha is intelligence, and I thought, oh yeah, I love that. I just really love that quote, because I believe it's true. And like Clarence was saying, and actually even Stephanie, our ancestors were very brilliant people, and we're continuing the thread for generations. Let's see. Who and what inspires me to continue my education? The first one was my Auntie Valerie, who, she was a social worker. She was blind. She was actually, I think, one of the first blind students to get a degree in social work at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. She wasn't born blind when she was 12. She had a brain tumor, and the doctors had to do the operation, which was to take out the tumor, but it severed her optic nerve. So she became blind. But like, that woman was one of the smartest women I ever knew. She was very, she would read the, they were called talking books at the time. They were like records, and do you guys know what records are? They were records that played stories. So she would listen to all the stories, and like Agatha Christie, I don't know if you guys even know any of these people, but she would tell all of us kids, and I actually have almost 50 first cousins. We have a huge family. But she would gather all us around and like tell us stories. So like my auntie was my inspiration for everything. She was so strong, so smart. And then finally, the Queen. Of course, I work for Queen Liko A'e Children's Center. The Queen is my my hero and everything. And one of her, and in fact, it's the title of my dissertation, is one of the Queen's quotes, which is "E oni pa'a I imi na'awa," which is "Be steadfast in seeking knowledge." And like for me, that is always, because I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning, but not just learning to learn, but to apply the learning to help others. So for me, that resonates with me. And I hope for you guys as well, because learning is not just like something you just absorb, you know, and not give back. You know, the whole concept of ike alo ike mai, which is receive and give. I think that whole reciprocity, mutual reciprocity, really resonates with our people. And I think that's really why a lot of us are here with Liko A'e. I think that's one of the goals of Liko A'e, is they're giving us the tools and that we need to be able to go to school so that we can give back to the lahui. So I think I got all the points.